This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so what we were discussing is we have discussed this capacity scenario, right? So we have seen that in this scenario, if the capacities are limited, so what we have given the capacity of 50-50. Let me open the IBP as well. So if the capacity is 50, so we have seen the calculations that one plant can go up to 100, and then two plants we have, so 100 plus 100 is 200. So we saw that there was a shortage created in this situation. But we also learned in the next scenario that optimizer has the capability to do the pre-building. It means in order to not miss the demand, right, in the further weeks if there is a high demand, so in that case the optimizer will find the available capacity in the prior periods. So system will keep the stock for future time period um, demands, right? So that's how we have seen these two scenarios. Let me, no, this is not yours. Yeah. Okay. So then we have executed this yesterday, that we had a high demand in the next week, and then how the pre-building has worked. The important thing to realize is this cost what I'm giving, if I do not give, optimizer may not even look from the perspective of profit maximization. It may not even give some output if it doesn't find that it is not profitable. So it means that if we just remove this cost and then try to run the heuristic, we may not get any receipt. So that's why you will see in your projects there will be some kind of cost that will be associated, and this is one of the cost that if you are not delivering it, you will put a high cost so that it gives you the output. So next important cost is from the transportation perspective. So let's say as of now we have seen that the transport supply. So let me bring it here. uh, Let me type transport cost rate, and this is the transportation cost rate transferring from plant 101 to distribution center, transferring from plant 102 to the distribution center. So these are two lanes I have. So in 1 week I can put some transportation cost, 5 units for let's say one SKU, and then this is also 5 units. So let's say 5 USD, right? So I have put some transportation cost, and let me now save it. So why we are putting the transportation cost? So that we can understand uh, whichever means is the cheapest for the optimizer. According to the cheaper option, the optimizer will consider the result. It means that in this week, the cheaper option is via the plant 102, because there is no cost rate here. And then here we see that in this week, um, there is no cost rate for the plant 101. So whichever option is cheaper, the optimizer should be sensible enough to choose that option, right? So we already have some capacity here. So the capacity is already available, and uh, the demand as well is there. So if I give this 1000 and then let me change something, let's say I've given thousand, and now let me run the algorithm. Uh, Jay didn't join, right? Okay, it's finished. Let me go to the transportation view. Yeah, so now what we see is, let's try to understand the output. So in the plant 101 and DC, we have the transportation cost rate involved here. So in this week, the cheapest option will actually become this one. So algorithm has chosen this one. And then the next week, the cost is associated here with this plant. We have 5 units. So the system has chosen this one to do the transport supply. So now for one plant, we know that it can fulfill the capacity. Let's say that we have more demand, right? Let's say that we have 1500 demand here. So maximum it will do from the lane which is the cheapest lane. In this case, it will be this, and rest it will put on to the next one, right? So let's say that this is now not 1000, this is 1500, and one plant has how much capacity? 500 capacity. With that, how much the source ID can produce? It can process 1000 via one plant. So because the demand is 1000, it has taken 1000. But if the demand is more, let me say 1500, what it will do, the maximum is how much? 1000 it will do it from the cheapest option, because there is no transportation cost, and remaining it will do from here. Let's see this one. Let me just save it. This is now 1500, and the same stuff. What is this? Is it not week number 50? Yeah, it is week 50. Okay, no problem. Let me do the refresh. Yes, and then because it should do the same stuff. Now there is some problem.
Could be because there is no much production available to transport, or how does it work?
No, no, nothing like that. I mean, it violates the editability horizon. So where I'm so sorry. Uh, No, this is wrong. Something I was doing. I'm updating it in the transportation receipt, and receipt is an output, not an input, right? Because it gives the output. So what I actually wanted to do is this. We have 1,000 demand and we have 1,000 demand. So if the demand was, 1,500, more than the capacity of the one plant. So one plant has the capacity how much? Of 1,000 to produce it. So let's say that it is 1,500 and we go to the same scenario of transportation cost that we have put it here. So now we are telling that for the plant 101 to ship it to the distribution center, the cost involved is 5. So in this case, what it should do is because 1,500 is the demand there, so maximum it should do it from the cheapest one, which is that green zone is the cheapest here because there is no transportation cost involved, and whatever is left. So out of 1,500, 500 will be left. So 500 it should do from the option where where the cost is involved, so that it can save the overall cost, transportation cost. So let's see then. You are getting it right.
So I mean, for one place you have a transport supply. Oh, another place you do not have the transport receipts. Why is that?
Yeah, let's see. It was 1,000 demand, right? Before we
For
run it.
overall demand. Okay, okay. For overall
Yeah.
from demand from
Overall
customer.
receipts it has generated 1,000, right? To
Okay,
this distribution with respect to the distribution center, the receipts generated are 1,000 because 1,000 was the demand. Now we have made it 1,500, which is more than the capacity of one plant. So earlier
okay.
it was using the cheapest lane for and utilizing its full capacity for the plant
Yeah,
102.
before even going there, I wanted to know something actually. So yesterday you were teaching about the penalty. Today you are teaching about the transport receipts, right? So I mean, those are the costs. It is looking like at the automation level. So what are the other costs? I mean, just before you go teach one by one, if you can tell me
Yeah,
the
yeah, 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 yeah. So other ones will be now we will also come to the the production cost. So now this is with respect to transportation. So we will also see that with respect to production as well. There
okay.
will be some cost associated, and we will
How
see
about the
this in
lead
it.
time? Lead time. So the lead time penalty is the penalty, is it?
Now, lead time. I mean, it's not a penalty, but lead time is something um, that we discussed in one of the heuristic scenarios. So the master data will
Right.
remain
But
same.
yeah, so the optimizer do not
So
consider the lead time or customer service.
yeah, it behaves in the same way. For example, if we have a lead time related to the transportation lead time, if you remember last time we have given for a
Hmm.
week, then supply will start 1 week prior, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so that it can generate the receipt at that week when the demand is there. So I think that scenario also we have recorded here. here in this, in one of the slide that was related to the lead time. Let me show you which scenario was that. Yeah, this with this one. So when there is a lead time involved, then the goods will start in the prior weeks, how much
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
lead time will
that's yeah.
according to that, and then it will impact. So coming back to the, by now it would have finished. So let me refresh it. Yeah, so this is what we were expecting that it should behave. So what it has done, it has used the cheapest transportation lane, right, where there is no cost involved to do the maximum. Maximum it can do 1,000 as per the capacity of 500 that we have given, and then remaining one it is doing from the one where there is some cost involved. So it means that for the cost it is going only for the leftover
Leftover.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, so these are the pre-built capabilities of the optimizer. That is how it is supposed to actually work. So this is what now we have seen, that if the demand is higher than the capacity, in that case, how the cheapest option will be used, right? And then another kind of cost also. For example, let us just see the production scenario here. So now let me remove this. So here as well, from the production perspective, if we see that from this is the production version one which is associated with this plant. It has generated the receipts also of 500, and then in this week it has generated of 1,000. For the other one, we if we see in the transport, for the other one we had the cost involved here and only 1,000 was the demand. So it is still fulfilling it from the 1,000. It is not it is doing the supply from the cheapest option. Cheapest option is this in this case, because there is no cost involved. So the total capacity is being done from the plant 101. So that's how even the production is now synced with that. So 500 is being done from the plant 101, and then 1,000 receipts is being generated from 102, because this was the cheapest option from the transportation perspective. So now let's say that we have no cost in the transportation cost rate. Let me just remove the cost and let us concentrate from the production perspective if we have some cost. So this one, yeah, here itself, let me bring. Okay, so what I'll do is, in the same way, if I put some production cost, let's say in this week for this plant, for the plant 101, I'll put some production cost here, and then for the plant 102, I put it here. Yeah, I've saved it. And also, for example, you are investing some cost, um, the inventory holding cost, right? To hold the inventory, let's say at the distribution center or somewhere. So let me bring it here itself. So you have this one, inventory holding cost rate. So this one also you are, having some cost. So let's say, for this inventory holding cost, this is with relation to this plant. This is 1 unit. Let me color it so that it will be easy for you. This is one box. This is another box. And this is with respect to the distribution center, let's say. Right? So now you see that there are three blocks. One is with distribution center, one is associated with plant 101, another one is associated with plant 102. Right? So now let's say that, um, you have the production cost rate involved here for 101, and there is some cost also involved from the inventory perspective, let's say. Here I'm entering some cost, and let's say here, or there is some cost to keep it at the DC as well. So now you think from the perspective that, uh, of the pre-building that the optimizer is doing, right? So how this inventory holding cost will play a role there is, so let's say that when the pre-building is happening, in what case the pre-building happens, let's say there is more demand in the next periods, but if there is less demand and we have more capacity available, remaining capacity in the current period, then what the optimizer will do, it will produce with the remaining capacity what I have, even there is no demand in the current period, but there is demand in the future buckets. So as a result of the pre-optimizer, it will just, keep the stock wherever the inventory holding cost is low. So in that mechanism, for example, if it has produced at plant 101, and if there is no inventory holding cost there, or there is less inventory holding cost there, then it is cheaper to keep it at that plant itself if there is an space allowing there, right? Then it will transfer it in that particular week whenever the requirement is there for the current, week to mitigate that demand, right? So these are the general concepts. I mean, if we just think logically from the cost perspective, but then these are all built within
So
the
these
logic.
costs are basically dollarized amount, like the dollar value, or is it like of some
I mean,
proportion?
you don't have to worry about that. See, for example, business is following, let's say, 1 unit, right? The uh, unit of the currency. So whatever figure you give here, you can, convert it into dollarize, or you can look it at that way,
Yeah, but
right?
that should be the master data, right? I mean, if you're giving some proportions, that should be master data. What is the cost rate for this particular thing, right? I mean, they have to specifically say that the inventory cost, because when you do the optimizers, right, it has to consider three, four things, right, including the penalty, transportations, the production cost, inventory cost, and then take everything into the dollarized amount, which is the cost is higher, and then determine it, right? So even though the number may be higher, but I wanted to see how do they determine those costs if you are saying the optimizer is going to use the cost.
Yeah, so these are the standard parameters what we see in terms of key figures, right?
Okay.
So how the optimizer has been designed is optimizer understands all these standard costs that we are now discussing, right? So the logic it has built, right? I mean, this cost rate key figures and all, we see that this is definitely, you can maintain it as a global cost in the profile, or you can make in terms of key figures, right? So it's not a a specific master data that you are maintaining here as a static value, but it is giving you an opportunity to maintain it. For example, this week the cost is 5 units, right? Whatever you say, that let's say $5 USD dollars, and then next week it may be little high, so you have the opportunity to do it in the key figure, and these key figures are being understood by the algorithm. When it runs, it takes all those into consideration. So why we are not giving all of them at a one shot, but we are seeing that when we have given the transportation cost rate, the optimizer behaves in a different way, and when we do not had the optimizer cost, the optimizer would have behaved in a different way. So we are understanding it one by one so that it is easier for us to understand the impact of these different scenarios. But you said it rightly. When the optimizer runs, right, it will consider all of the costs and then see that which way is the optimal way. It's all about the finding the optimal way in terms of algorithms that we have, right? So let's say the optimizer, the best way it has to choose that it meet the objective. So what is the objective that we have given in the profile? The objective is the profit maximization. So if you have, if you see the profile of this, there are two modes. One is the delivery maximization, as we discussed yesterday. One is the profit maximization. So profit maximization, it will consider all the costs that we are giving here, right? All of the different costs that we are giving here, and then it will find the best optimal solution and then present it to you in the form of the supply plan. That how much receipts from where, how much of a stock it has to keep where, right? So as I will just repeat that. So as we were discussing the pre-building scenario, let me open that slide. This is scenario one, and this is the pre-building one. So let's say that the capacity was there to produce maximum 2000, right? So, but 1000 was the demand here, and then 3000 is the demand here. So 2000 it can produce, but here the demand is only 1000. So what it has done is it has it has produced the 2000. It has to kept 1000 extra. So where it will keep? It will keep on the DC. It will keep on the it will keep on the plant itself, plant 101 where it has manufactured, or plant 102 if the cost is cheaper. So what it will do, it will also consider the cost. For example, what is the cost per unit of your inventory holding cost that you are carrying. So let's say that $5 you are having the cost rate for one SKU. So let's say that 1000 is the demand, you have produced 1000 extra. In order to keep 1000, the cost will be $5000, right? So now you have to think that whether should I invest $5000, and then it will search, okay, maybe the cost is less at the distribution center. Let me evaluate the transportation cost. Anyway, it has to send it to distribution center. So what it will see is if this cost is less, then it will just keep it here, that projected stock, at the DC, not at the plant, right? So this is how Vinod, the general supply chain works, and then
Hmm.
this is how the optimizer of IBP also behaves. Is
Okay.
it little better than before, Vinod?
Yeah, it's little bit. Yeah, it's better for me, but I think I'll have to maybe learn myself. The cost rate is I mean, technically, I'm thinking how this taking effect of it. It's basically we are giving some cost rate. It will be there will be some unit of measures of that one to convert it to into the dollarized amount
No,
or
no,
whatever it is.
no. A unit of measure, you don't think. For example,
Oh,
that's a different thing. So that one, what you are doing is, uh, you want to see in, let's say, here I have my currency unit of measures, right? Let's say target currency, and now I think, maybe you're getting confused that you're converting it into some other currency, but that's another thing. Let's say that your currency is in INR and then you are converting the target currency to something else. But in this
mhm.
case, you don't have to do that conversion and then uh, dollarize your amount. Let's say
Okay.
that whatever the business is there, right, that will have some headquarters, and then they will follow the standard currency unit across this one. But if you have to convert it, let's say for some reason it is 5, let's say for the standard unit that you have given. So when we are selecting that data, if you remember, it is also asking the target currency. If there is any key figure which is involved in this calculation, that it has to do the conversion, for example, in terms of when you are generating your revenue report or something, then you will make use of this mass data and then do that conversion. Okay, in USD it is this, in some other currency, in
Yeah, yeah. That's a currency
how
conversion to
much
see
it
how
is.
much it is. Yeah, that's a different
Yeah,
story.
yeah,
Okay.
but yeah. So don't get mixed that with this one. So this one, you see that this will be standard. For example, if you are talking about USD, you just think about USD, right?
Okay.
But when you are actually going to the edit view
No,
and
I
you are
mean
taking,
the why the confusion came into me is that the inventory costing rate is 5. Say for example, it is 5 is like $5 straightforward, and
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
transportation cost you are saying 5, it is $5. So it is kind of everywhere the same. That's what I'm saying. It's not like one
yes,
place
yes,
it
yeah,
will be
yeah,
it is
yeah, yeah,
500 or the other
exactly.
place it will be 50, but it looks
Yes,
like
yes.
every place is
So
same. Okay.
yes, it is same. And then here, for example, there is some, let's say, actuals revenue or something, some key figure you have taken, and then that particular calculations, if you want to see it in some other levels, not in the one in the USD, then it will do the currency conversion
Yeah, that's fine.
based
Yeah.
on
And
the
I understand the
unit of
currency
measure.
conversions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah,
I mean like the value only like we say it's $1 million, it's tens or thousands. Looks like everything is same here. So
So we know
see,
yeah,
this is not a product cost which you're thinking about. It is just a random number you telling the system or optimizer
mhm.
what is expensive and what is cheaper. That's all. It's just a
Oh, you are
relative
yeah,
just
number.
rating it. You are just rating it. Okay, I got it right
Yes,
now. Okay,
just a
thanks.
relative
Okay.
number you're putting. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay. The way do you want to
think
do
in
it?
the way
Okay,
that, yeah, so think in a way that you have the projected stock of each of the periods, right?
okay,
Period
okay,
50, period 51, that you are multiplying it with the inventory holding cost rate that you are giving here, right?
okay.
Uh, and then you are
It's
getting your total cost, right?
okay, okay.
So just think it from the perspective that how because every algorithm is set to work uh,
Mhm.
by getting some of the input. So cost is one of the input that we have to
So
give
some
as
of
a
the
as
metric they maintain for the cost, and then they use it to determine the best way to produce it.
yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Produce it or transport it, whatever, or deliver to customer at the end. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think we have already saved it. Let me just refresh it. I don't know whether we executed or not, but let me do that. So what we were seeing here, the we have now removed the transportation cost, and then we were seeing from the uh, this one. Let me take from the perspective of the production cost. So how much was the demand here in week 50 was 1500. So let me go to the
So which planning area we're doing this one? Same planning area? All of this?
yes, see the same planning area. The other one I have just differentiated it by keeping the time for the other batch. So this one, if I just want to see which planning area, I can always go to about section, put my cursor on help, and this
Okay.
is the one that we are taking. So
IBP
sometimes,
HS1. Okay.
it is, yeah, it is very confusing, and be careful, because this kind of accidents I have seen that, some people will be joining in my team, and then they will think that they are in test system, but they will be in the production system, and here you don't get a feel, uh,
Mhm.
like you are in
Yeah.
test or production or which planning area. So whenever you are doing some action, just go to about, keep your cursor there, and then see that which planning area, because generally what we do is, we keep that convention as z dev, and then the company name, and so and so some conventions, naming conventions will be following, by which we'll understand that, okay, this is development planning area, and we have the development planning area in the test tenant
Mhm.
only. So we can save from the accidents, because sometimes we have all the access in the production system as well. I've seen that, and then the things are getting messed up. So this is very important to check where we are and what we are doing. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so here 1500 was the demand, and then what it has done is, here it does not have any production cost rate. So maximum of its capacity, it has done it from this plant, and the remaining one, it has gone and then done it here, this one, 500, and the other was anyway 1000, and it has mitigate that 1000 from here itself. So it did not actually change, because here we do not have any transportation cost rate in this week. So this is all about, we can play around with these different costs, go to the help file, go to those RDS documents, you can learn more about these. But whatever is possible, we'll try to uh, cover it in this one. So what we'll do is we'll see some other scenarios as well, with respect to some soft constraints as well. Uh, Inventory holding cost rate, we will also take and understand, and then we will also see that, um, if the late delivery is possible or not. For example, if late is possible, then how much late we can do, by how much weeks, maximum how much delay we can do, right? So for example, there are high penalty costs involved, but there will be some suppliers where we will have the goodwill. So what we'll do is we'll allow some late delivery, but we'll put a cap that, okay, maximum late you can do it for, let's say, 2 weeks, not more than that. But that should not be a normal practice, but if we have to allow it in the system. And then let's say that, the Thanksgiving has just went, and then the Christmas period is coming, there will be high demand, so capacity is not enough, we want to put one more shift. How do we tackle those kind of things? So we'll understand. So what I'll do is, maybe I'll ask, Rajneesh, once again, if you can share the screen, and then we will see that scenario once again, and I will try to discuss with that guy uh, after getting the other input. So let me stop presenting, and let me make you the presenter. Stop sharing, and let me see how I can make you. Yeah, make presenter. Now I think you have the rights, because the Excel that you have sent, Rajneesh, is on my mobile actually. Um, it's not in my laptop. Rajneesh.
Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please.
Okay. Sorry. Entire screen. Share. Okay. You can see my screen now?
Just bring it to the Excel.
You can see it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is the very basic scenario. Any any customer will have it, right? So I have, you see, these are four production versions I have, right? And in
And
these four
all are
production,
different, right? All are different.
all are different,
Okay.
all are different production
Okay.
versions. So
Yeah,
basically,
yeah,
this defines the uniqueness. One, two, three,
yeah.
four.
Haha.
And if you see these four production versions has three machines, that means it has three routings, right?
Okay.
And this production version has two different bombs. So you will see these are the two alternatives, right? So I
Mm-hmm,
have two
mm-hmm.
alternatives. With two alternatives, I have three routing combinations, right? So if you see the first routing combination, I'm using two different alternatives, but it's the same resource. But you see the difference is in the validity, right? One production version is valid till December. Second production version is valid from January onwards. And only difference is I'm using the different alternative in this, but the routing is still the same. But overall, if you see, these are two distinct production versions. Make sense?
Yeah, two distinct, and then in the validity also you have no problem in setting them up, right?
Correct. That's
You
all fine.
okay,
Now
okay, okay.
I'll tell you the redundancy issue now, right? So now I have two more production versions which are for the different routings, and I'm using some alternative one or alternative two with these different routings. Make sense?
Yeah, and can you also mention the components here? So you have the finished good. Let
Hmm.
us draw the one more. You will have the same components or different components for
Different, of course, different components. There is one alternative. This is sure, let me
maybe between C to D. You can just bring one more, add one more.
yeah. I can. So this is one alternative, and this is another alternative. Okay. So in this, let's say I have ROH1. In this, I have ROH2. Right. So this is the finished good. I have, for example, I'm giving just one component here, one component here. It can be multiple components as well, right? So now I have total four production versions for two different bombs, right? And for three different routings. So now if I want to bring it into IBP, I need to have all these four combinations. Make sense? HS, you're with me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep going
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
So if I bring four different combinations, so you see, if I bring, let's say, source ID, let me call production version as source ID, right? One. So this is my, in actuality, I will have a source ID like FG1 location one production one. This is one source ID. This is another source ID. Two, three, and four source IDs, right? And for this source ID, four source IDs, actually I'm creating four bombs as well. So because when I'm creating a production source header and item, I'm creating four bombs, but actually I have only two alternatives. And I am forced to create four bombs because eventually I want to marry it with the routing. Otherwise, the routing marriage with the bomb will not be possible. And now same thing is happening for routing now. So now since I have four unique combinations, I end up creating this routing twice in IBP. Even though it is if you look at it is the same routing, It is just that I have a different production version for that source ID. I need to create now duplicate routing as well. So I'm creating two duplicate bombs, right, for each alternative, and I'm creating one extra routing in IBP. How do I
Okay,
avoid this?
Rajneesh, can you also send me that that production source resource and all that stuff what you have designed for this scenario? Let me also have a look and then discuss. So the same scenario you would have built up, right? There
Yeah,
in those tabs, right?
yeah.
So send me that as well. Let me have a
Okay.
look. And have you okay? So there is no
So what is the,
problem
sorry
of
for my
the
curiosity, what is the column
same.
H? Column H
What is
is
that?
standing for what?
So this is basically a routing uniqueness, right? So routing, the way it is designed in SAP is you have a routing number and you have a counter number. So that's
Counter.
basically a
Oh, how
product
many
can have
routings?
multiple
Okay, okay.
routings. So each counter decides the uniqueness of the routing.
Okay, okay.
So basically, eventually, whether I use a time series planning or order series planning, my intention is to send this data back to ECC uh, so that I can write it back. And at the same time, if I have done some planning on the IBP side, I just want to make sure that if I have planned in IBP for the production version 3, I go and create the relevant element with the production version 3 only. Otherwise, for me, if I do a planning with production version 1 and ECC, it will end up creating an order with something else. So the whole planning will go for a toss then. So yes, HS, I will provide you with the maybe I will create a resource header resource sorry production resource header and production resource item, bomb header and bomb item for you. So
Yeah,
just
yeah,
come.
do that,
Yeah,
and then the source as well, right? Production source resource as well.
correct.
You create
Production
it
both.
in the way.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'll
Okay,
create that for
okay.
you.
And by any chance, are you using the, because I don't see that you have the same components being utilized, or you want a different, I think component is not a problem, right? You are having the, you may also have the same components in both. So ROH1, the other
You
one.
you may you may have it. So
Yeah, yeah.
take an example of chemical industry, right? I can build a formula using multiple chemicals, right? So
Yeah, yeah, and the same can be used in the other
correct.
building of another finished goods as well.
Other
Yeah,
alternative
so
as well. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's correct.
so makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
so and you are not using the production source sub item master data uh, in your stuff, right? It is only these three tabs you have used. So send me those, and I don't think that you have to use this sub item one, because I believe I've never used it, but I believe that is if you want to substitute the component, but that's a different scenario,
no, those
I
those
think.
are different things. Those that part I know actually. That part is handled by IBP as well, so that is not a problem either. The substitution is not an issue.
Okay, so here
Yeah,
you have to create more bombs and you are expecting only two bombs. That's what
exactly. I mean, it is sheer duplication of the bomb just to
Yeah.
satisfy the needs of IBP.
It's because of the alternative bombs. Yeah, some
But
more than two entries.
sorry, please come again, Vinod.
It's because of the alternative bomb, right? The alternative bomb with the two
And
different dates.
and that's a reality, right? So you will not see any industry which does not use alternative bombs.
Alternative bomb, they will
Everybody will
use
have.
alternative bombs, yes.
All everybody uses. I mean, this is the simplest example I have put it, but I have worked in engineer to order industry and make to order industry and make to stock industries.
The alternative
And
bombs only come to the scenario when there is a particular quantities available, or as you said, the validity periods are different. Then there will be a validity for period also for the source ID as well, correct? The valid to valid from, for the
correct,
source
correct,
get.
and you can have. So it is not necessary that you can produce a finished product with only one kind of raw material.
Right,
You
right, right.
may be
Yeah.
able to produce with a multiple combination, right? That's why you have alternatives.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry,
Uh,
Rajnish, I need to drop now for another batch.
That's
And
fine.
yeah, so send me those in one Excel,
Hmm.
uh, whatever you are using, right, in the same components, how you are designing it today, and the problem statement. Just record it and then send it to the coordinator. I'll just have a call with him. Let me see in this week, um, when I can get the time, and I will for sure discuss this with him and
Okay.
get you the feedback. Yeah.
Okay. And other help, maybe the next small session, maybe 5 or 10 minute session, if you can uh, take me through the key figure formulas, key figure expressions we write, right? Maybe five or
Okay.
10 minutes you can spend. That'll be helpful. Actually, I'm getting a
Yeah.
little confused there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I needed that also. It's basically there's something called at request level, and then there is something called like at the specific level. That's something I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
understand also. Yeah.
No, I'm doing actually some complex calculation and running into a lot of errors. So
Okay. Okay.
that'll be helpful.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Sure.
Right. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.